Next I use my Lazy Susan to give the vinyl a good clean. Actually, it's a bit ironic, isn't it, using one of these spacers from a tower of CDs to protect the label when you're cleaning vinyl. So I just use a paint edger, which has firm but not dangerously hard bristles on the bottom, so I'll give that about 3 rotations or so, and that's good enough. Next, give it a rinse with distilled water, just like that. Use my vinyl vac and vacuum off the excess liquid and any crud that's still caught down in the grooves. That's enough. Microfiber cloth just to make sure things are dry enough in there. Actually let the grooves air dry. After a good clean with one of these proprietary cleaners, a rinse with distilled water and a suck from the vacuum cleaner. Records even that come from the thrift store end up in pretty good shape. I don't buy anything that's badly scratched, of course. The next thing I do is slip them in a replacement sleeve. If the original has a lined inner sleeve, I prefer to keep that. It's a bit more authentic. And the next thing I do is clean the cover. And the best thing I found for doing that is Windex. So I spray some on a piece of paper towel, give it a thorough clean, back and front, and the sides and seams, and it does a remarkable job. It's surprising how much hand oil, finger dirt comes off. But these things come up really quite well. I've been listening to a fair bit of classical music lately. I've always had an interest, and I have a couple of hundred classical CDs, but I've started buying classical on vinyl. Often from the thrift store. There seems to be, at the moment there, a whole load of Ukrainian music and Russian generally, all from the old Soviet era. They're all marked made in USSR, you know, printed in Cyrillic. And I've come across some really rather nice finds, actually. You look them up on Discogs, and a couple of them I haven't even been able to find, so I've had to create entries for them. And that's actually quite a difficult thing to do, because Discogs likes you to use the Cyrillic alphabet, and I'm not Russian. So I've found ways in which I can cheat a bit by copying the template from another album, using that as the basis for my new entry. So I take photos front and rear, because there are often various copies of the same work released by different labels. I've been exploring old Soviet record labels, and the main state-owned label has the anglicized name Melodia. These are heavy pieces of vinyl. They are all 33 1/3 RPM. The labels are high quality printed paper. The sleeves, not so much. They're pretty basic. All you're getting is a plain back with some liner notes, which are, in fairness, in Cyrillic and also in English. And that's pretty typical, that's par for the course. And having an interest in Tchaikovsky, I've been exploring some of the other 19th century Russian composers and have discovered some very interesting things, to the point where I've now been ordering on Discogs and getting some amazing things. You can't get this type of thing from Russia, unfortunately, because they're banned from dealing on Discogs, just as they're banned from dealing on eBay because of what they're up to. It seems that quite a lot of the Russian vinyl has found its way into German hands, and there are some exceptional German traders on Discogs. I've used at least 3. Items are always very well packaged, pretty quick, and the postage is cheaper than if I were ordering from the other side of Canada. So, having enjoyed Tchaikovsky's first piano concerto, I wasn't even entirely sure that's what it was when I got it home from Bibles for Missions thrift store. I've ended up becoming quite a fan of Melodia and its various offshoots, and I'm developing quite a collection of old Russian Soviet vinyl. It's worth mentioning too that the recording quality is pretty good, considering a lot of these are well over 60 years old. It might be that collectors of classical vinyl tend to look after their collection a bit better than rock and pop collectors, who perhaps are younger and less inclined to be so careful. But I've got an awful lot that just have no blemishes on them whatever, and that when you drop the needle on them, they're close to silent. I know the old Soviet Union was famed for its quality control, and that spilled over into the German Democratic Republic. And we all know the Germans are famous for quality, BMW, Audi, etc. So when I'm no longer listening to Queen, Supertramp, Mott the Hoople, or even more modern things like Radiohead, Alabama 3, I've got a lot of Russian, Soviet era classical music to fall back on, and I'm enjoying it.